the power companies have got you over a barrel, haven't they? I mean, I've been reading like loads of posts on Facebook. I don't know why they keep getting suggested to me, but it's not just my power company, it's all the power companies. I've been seeing posts about EDF and British Gas and Octopus, all about where people are being charged huge direct debits, some way worse than mine. And some people are massively in credit and then having their direct debits hiked again. And if you try to get your direct debit reduced, they just refuse to do it. They won't reduce it. And if you say, right, well, I'm going to cancel my direct debit, then they'll punish you by putting your tariff up, because they say you're only on this tariff because you pay by direct debit. So we'll hike your costs up by like 9% or something ridiculous like that. I mean, for example, I'm with Scottish Power, and I've been paying £100 since last year, I think it was. No, I paid £104 and then it went down to £100 because I came out of winter in March in credit. And all through the summer I've accrued credit because my energy usage is not as high as they are estimating it based on my last year's usage, because I'm not using anywhere near as much energy, and I refuse to use any gas over the summer. I've not used any, so the only thing I've actually paid for is the standing charge, which in itself is ridiculous. I think I worked out that nearly half of my bill, because I've been doing monthly readings, is actually just standing charges. Because my usage has been like massively down in comparison to previous years, because I've just been, I used to have the TV on all day just to have it as background noise, and I haven't had it on at all summer. I've literally just not bothered, and I've just literally reduced everything down. So I had a look at my last year's usage, because the way I used my gas last year is we kind of did an experiment, because we wanted to see the different ways, and obviously we could, because our gas wasn't expensive. It was like 3.5 pence per kilowatt or whatever it is, and now it's like 14 something. But last year we just had it switched on all the time, so it's on like 24/7, and then we just used the thermostat. So I would turn it down to 16 at night when we went to bed, and then we would turn it up a little bit in the morning to warm the house up more, then turn it down again and then up again. So it was like on 24/7. And I know, because I'm like home more than hubby, that it did come on during the day, even when I had it turned down to sort of 16. You know, if it was cold enough, it would come on to take the chill off the house. Whereas this year we're going to not do that. We're going to put it on for like an hour in the morning, just take the chill off in the morning, so that when hubby gets up it's not freezing cold. And then we're going to have it on in the evening from 6 o'clock to 11 o'clock on 18. And then we've got like lots of blankets, and you know, if it is really cold, I have got a heated throw for hubby, which he hasn't even used yet because it's not been cold enough. And we still haven't had the heating on. Last year we didn't put the heating on until November. And so we kind of decided that we would do that again this year, because we actually came out of winter last year in credit. So I downloaded all my bills from last year, and I looked at how much gas we used over the winter, and I know that we're going to use a lot less this time than we did last year. So but I still based it on last year's usage, because I thought, you know, worst case scenario, base it on last year's usage. So and obviously using the new tariff prices, which I have got on my app, because they've actually put it on my app so I can work it out. And I use their own calculations, because one of the things they do in their bills, Scottish Power, is they actually put the calculations in so you can work it out yourself. So I worked it out, and I've got nearly a £200 credit on there currently. I'm not going to use the gas until November, so I'm going to be in credit again this month because my electric usage is just not as high. And it's probably going to be about an extra tenner this month with the increased prices, because the increased prices last time raised it by a tenner, so it'll probably be about a tenner. So, you know, kind of like worked out that I would have about, because I'm not using the gas until November, I would have £40 of my credit a month, because we only have the heating on until the end of March, and then we turn it off. It's exactly what we did this year. We didn't have any heating on from the end of March. And when it was just a bit chilly, we just used blankets and things like that just to keep warmer, because there was a couple of weeks where it was chilly in April where we had a bit of snow. But we just, you know, we didn't use it. So I worked it out that with the 66, well, I think it's 66 1 month, and then the rest of the time it's 67, I think, something like that. And the way Scottish Power are doing it is if you pay by direct debit, then they will pay that amount back into your account. So they tried to put my direct debit up to 175, which just didn't make sense to me at all, because I'm kind of like, why didn't you just credit the 66 onto my account and then my direct debit wouldn't be so high? So they're going to take that out, and then a few days later they're going to put £66 back into my account, plus I'm £40 in credit. And I was like, this just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Why don't you just have the direct debit at £100? Then when the £66 goes into my account, and then 67 consecutively, I'll put that back onto my account. So that's then 166, because the direct debit's 100. And then £40 a month towards it takes me up to £200 credit onto my account each month. So that's actually more than the direct debit, isn't it? But they won't do it. They will not do it. The lowest they will let me go is 153. So it's still higher than what I estimated paid on there, because I reckon I'd have an extra £100 on there. I don't think I'm going to use that much gas at all. I probably might use more in January and February, March, where it's colder. But we had quite a mild winter last year, and our heating didn't come on as much anyway because it was warmer. Plus this year I've done things to make the house warmer anyway, like thermal blind for the lounge and thermal curtains in the hallway for the doors to try and keep the heat in and not letting it escape, so that we can actually be more efficient anyway. Because we've got cavity wall insulation, we've got double glazing, we've got insulation in the loft. I can't, and all the windows being double glazed, they're supposed to be pretty efficient. Although I do feel we lose some heat through them, because I think the glass makes it feel colder, so which is why I bought all these blinds to help it feel warmer and not chillier. Plus the insulation behind the radiators as well, which is the new thing they've suggested you do with it reflects the heat back into the room as well. But I'm like low key in comparison to some people, because if like you go on to some of the complaint forums, and a lot of them are public, so you can read them, like British Gas, EDF, Octopus, they've all got masses of complaints. I mean, I was reading about this one woman who had a £700 credit, and they were still trying to up her direct debit. And I was like, that doesn't make sense to me. Why would they, unless she was like a huge user, like living in a mansion somewhere, it didn't make sense. But they have you absolutely over a barrel, because I said to him, well, what if I cancel my direct debit and then I do a meter reading every month, and then I just pay for what I use? Because to me that makes sense. And he said, well, I can't advise that you do that, because if you do that, then we'll put you on a different tariff and it will cost you more for your electric and gas. So, okay. What difference does it make how I pay? As long as I pay and I'm not in debit. So I effectively will get punished by being put on a higher tariff if I choose to pay monthly what I actually use, is what they're saying. And he said, well, I don't choose to call it being punished. I said, well, no, you are, because if I cancel my direct debit, you're going to put me on a higher tariff as a punishment. So you are punishing me, really. But it shouldn't cost more. It shouldn't make any difference how you pay your bill, as long as you pay it and you're not in debit. Or do you know what I mean? I'm in credit. So what difference does it make how I pay my bill? And as long as I'm paying something on account, it shouldn't matter how much I pay, as long as I'm paying something on my account. I totally get that some people are really struggling to pay their bills and they're massively in debit. I get it. And the energy companies are like, well, we don't want you to get in debit. But like when you've got someone like me who constantly checks my usage, and I've been in credit for like 18 months, I've never been in debit for that amount of time. I've been in credit for the whole time. I've been in credit since last January. Yeah, so that's 18 months. I've been in credit. So, you know, you could see on my account that I don't let myself get into debt basically. I mean, I did in the old days. I used to be like £200 something in debit when I came out of winter. And then I'd spend summer, I'd keep my direct debit at the same amount, and then all summer, because I'd use a lot less energy, I was then paying off that debit. So, like, you know, I was never massively in debit, like hundreds of pounds. But I used a lot more energy then because I had the kids here as well. But now it's just me and hubby. And this is what I was trying to say to him. It's just me and my husband. Like, we both work, so we're not always here. And my husband doesn't get home until like 6:30 at night usually. Sometimes maybe a bit earlier, but not usually. So I don't have the heating come on until 6 o'clock because it's just wasted otherwise, because I try and have it come on at 6 so that there's like half an hour for it to warm up so hubby walks into a warm house. You know, because I'm usually at work at 4, so there's no point me having it on then. And like, even though I'm at home more than hubby because I work in the morning and in the evening, I'm like here during the day, I go out with the dogs and I do stuff, so I'm not here sort of feeling the cold and stuff. So I don't generally need to have the heating on. And even if I felt chilly, I would just put on, like at the moment I'm short sleeve because I'm not cold. I'm not cold at all. And if I was cold, I would just go and put like a fleece on, like a fleece jumper on or something. Or, you know, if I was having a day like a pajama day, I'd put my dressing gown on. Or, you know, and I've got blankets. I've got a great big pile of blankets, so I would just do that. So I'm not using it. You know, and my energy usage is like massively lower. I mean, the only thing that we could do more is that at the moment we've got a separate fridge. It's a big larder fridge, and we've got a 1.5 chest freezer, it's called, and it's not full, and so it's wasting energy. And so one of the things that we have looked into is investing in like a B rated, which is as low as you can go with a fridge freezer, like a B rated fridge freezer, which would cost, the ones we've been looking at will cost £40 a year to run, a lot less energy usage than what we're currently using. And that won't significantly reduce my energy. I mean, my, you know, TV's turned off at the wall. I mean, I do have my power thing turned on. I don't know how else to reduce my use, really. I know, I get we're all in the same boat and everybody's panicking about their direct debits, and Bailey's like insists, she's like, please hug me and love me. Like, she's very cute, but it's annoying. It's annoying when you're trying to do stuff, isn't it, little girl? She's cute though. She's like, mummy, hug me. She's not really, if I picked her up, she'd be like, get off, wouldn't you? Yeah, she just wants me to stroke her. That's all it is, just a stroke. Little cutie. But they have got you over a barrel. You should be able to control how you pay your bill. You shouldn't be forced to pay by direct debit. And I know people will say to me, well, you don't have to pay by direct debit. You can cancel it. And I know that, but then I'd have to pay nearly 10% more for my energy and gas, which I don't want to have to do. So I do feel like I'm being put over a barrel, really, to be forced to pay. I feel like, you know, like £100 towards my bill is not an amount to sniff at. I'm about £300 under the estimated government usage, according to their own app. And if I'm getting 60 odd quid towards my bill and I've got a credit of £40 a month, that's an extra £100 anyway. So over like 6 months, it's what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, that's like £1,000. So it works out about right. So I'm not quite sure why I'm being forced. I mean, the guy on the phone was really argumentative with me. He was saying, oh, how do you know how much you're going to use? And I said, because funny enough, your company gives me bills every month because I read my smart meter, even though I don't have to, because it is a smart meter. Excuse me, my hand's really aching. I don't have to because it is a smart meter, but I do it every month because I don't have an internal house monitor because mine broke and they won't replace it. Because that's another thing. The only reason why I got a smart meter was so that I'd know how much I was doing with my little monitor, but it's broken and they refuse to replace it because apparently I got the older meter, so I can't have one. Can't have another one. They just don't do them, which is frigging stupid. So I do a monthly meter reading, and the smart meter is maybe 1 unit out because it does read every half an hour. And but I do it so that I know exactly how much I'm using. So I get a bill every month and I know how much electricity I'm using, basically. And the only thing that we use at night in the lounge is our little LED lamps, and they're like the lowest wattage LED lamp you can get for a lamp, basically. So they're using like a pence, like maybe a couple of p for the whole evening, so they're not using a lot. You know, and I have candles going and stuff like that. So we do use a huge amount less electric. I mean, we have a dishwasher and we have a washing machine, but even that we don't use as much as we used to, because like I used to wash every day because my husband like used to want me to wash his clothes every day, and I don't now. I do it twice a week. And he's just got more. We made sure he had more trousers and more shirts so that he always had something to wear, so that I only had to put the washing machine on twice a week instead of constantly washing stuff. So we just tried to make sure he's got more clothes to pull on for his work, his job. So we're using huge, even in comparison to last year and the year before, we had a hot tub. And I got rid of that because it was using so much electric, and we doubled our electric or something, so I got rid of that. So they were basing my electric usage on the year before when I had a hot tub. And this is what another thing I was trying to explain. Like, we had appliances that used a lot more electric, and we don't have those anymore. I had kids in the house who don't have those anymore. You know, it's like, it's just daft. So I just think it's wrong. As long as you're paying towards your bill, it shouldn't matter how you pay, and you shouldn't be penalised by a higher tariff just because you want to pay yourself. I don't see what the difference is. It doesn't make any difference if I pay by faster payment, which they get the same day. It doesn't make any sense to like penalise somebody. Anyway, that's just my whinge about the energy, because it's really pissed me off. Hope you have a good day.